narcissistic motherfucker. You may think you're clever with your lies and manipulation and shit smears. Just remember this, you piece of shit. I have a particular set of skills. Skills acquired over a long career putting fuck faces like you into check to behave themselves. I will find you, and I will expose you for who the fake fuck you truly are. You can't hide behind your facade forever. When it happens, just remember this. Game fucking over, motherfucker. You narcissist.
Some niggas don't.
You narcissistic motherfucker.
While I didn't watch it, I was looking for signs of an opposition party, which is what the Democratic Party must be at this point, not a resistance, because resistance is passive. Opposition is active. And I think that what I saw when Representative Al Green stood up and said, you don't have a mandate to take away Medicaid, and he was tossed out. I expected the rest of his Democratic caucus, his rest of his colleagues to walk out with him. Because alone you can survive, but together you thrive. That is the energy that we need. They should have stood with him in solidarity. And we had Karine Jean-Pierre here on this show yesterday, and she said, we have to have a sense of urgency as we move forward, and we cannot do it the way we have in the past. This is not normal. It is a five-alarm fire. And what I want to say to the Democrats is, you can't play by the rules with a party that has thrown away the rule book.
That's right.
You cannot do it. While I didn't watch it, I was looking for signs of an opposition party, which is what the Democratic Party must be at this point, not a resistance, because resistance is passive. Opposition is active. And I think that what I saw when Representative Al Green stood up and said, you don't have a mandate to take away Medicaid, and he was tossed out. I expected the rest of his Democratic caucus, his rest of his colleagues to walk out with him. Because alone you can survive, but together you thrive. That is the energy that we need. They should have stood with him in solidarity. And we had Karine Jean-Pierre here on this show yesterday, and she said, we have to have a sense of urgency as we move forward, and we cannot do it the way we have in the past. This is not normal. It is a five-alarm fire. And what I want to say to the Democrats is, you can't play by the rules with a party that has thrown away the rule book.
That's
You
right.
cannot do it. Well,
Well, I'm about to come unhinged. My TDS, as they call it, is about to show, honey, and I'm about to fucking blow. I just got done watching old Crack-A-Line, Leave It Alone and Going Home. You know, the little press secretary, baby. The one with no upper fucking lip, honey. Yes, she's up there on stage touting and trying to shame Democrats for their devious ways, to talking all kind of shit about having TDS and what a disgrace they are and how they couldn't stand up even for the girl who got bashed in the face by a transgender man playing sports. or the little boy who had cancer and how it's such a disgrace, baby. No, I'm not going to stand up and clap my hands every time Daddy Dumpy Pants wants to take an innocent person who suffered a tragedy and parade them around like fucking toys to be found. It's a goddamn shame, honey. It ain't about empathy. It's about I ain't got no motherfucking sympathy for none of you, baby. On that shit that you know how many times Lycan Riley's fucking parents came out and said, stop fucking politicizing our daughter? But he still, to this day, and so do you and the rest of you little misfit fools, parade that girl's name around every time you want to talk about mass deportations and criminals coming into our country. Meanwhile, a motherfucking felon and a pedophile is sitting in the goddamn White House, bitch. I'm so fucking tired of this. I'm over it. You want to talk about fucking delusional, bitch? Take a good look in the mirror, honey. While you're down on your knees trying to please that dirty-ass pedophile in the White House, or maybe your husband who's over in his 60s. Try the fuck again, friend. I am so upset right now, as you can tell. And baby, I wish somebody would bring Crackaline over here so I could show her some hell, along with the rest of them up there. We need this kind of passion right here, up there on Capitol Hill, baby, coming out of the Democrats. And I'm tired of people saying that the Democrats don't have the majority and there's nothing they can do. Well, there's something that they can do. They can start holding town halls here, there, and everywhere to hear what the people really got to say when Daddy Dumpy Pants pushes them the fuck out of the way, because he does it every single day. Have you heard the news about cutting all the veterans and all that shit that's going on? As a person who is in a military family, I want to say to you, fuck you, Daddy Dumpy Pants, and everything that you do. The destruction of America, the destruction of our democracy, the destruction of everything. Everything. Every system is broken, and it is your fault. You are not fixing shit. You are trying to burn it to the ground and build it back in your image. Only we don't like your image. We don't want your image. Fuck you and your image. Now, let me see if I can go find something funny to fucking say today. Where?
Trump's so-called gold card program, visa program. You've heard about this? He's offering residency and a path to citizenship for $5 million. This is not an immigration policy, it's a fire sale. Citizenship is just another product on the shelf. I mean, why not tweak that program? Allow Americans to sell their citizenship for $5 million. Now that makes sense. Let struggling Americans get paid and move out of that country with their newfound millions. That's a program I could get behind. Imagine if, for instance, just say 10% of African Americans could sell their citizenship for $5 million each. That's roughly 5 million new millionaires, $25 trillion between them. You can get a Dominican citizenship for an investment of just $100,000. You could make the Dominican Republic $25 trillion richer overnight. You know, I'm just saying African Americans because they have the most obvious reasons for being interested in selling their citizenship, since they don't get much out of it in the first place. But if you offered a program like that in reality, well, I think that you'd see that country empty out. I mean, ask yourself, if you're an American, what would you rather have? American citizenship or $5 million? $5 million and the opportunity to get citizenship elsewhere and have all the safety and all the security that comes with being that rich. Retaining your citizenship is never going to secure for you that kind of wealth. It's never going to secure that kind of wealth for you. It's never going to give you that kind of freedom, and it's never going to give you that kind of security. And I think you know it. I think you ought to demand the right to sell your citizenship, since he's already treating it like a product, like an asset that can be bought and sold. So why can't the people who already possess that asset, who already have that product, why can't they sell it? Isn't that capitalism? Isn't that the free market? Forget about selling it. If American citizenship is worth $5 million, well, shouldn't we be entitled to a refund? I mean, I don't know about you, but I sure never got $5 million worth of value from my citizenship. Did you? Well, I think the government ought to buy it back, just like corporations, you know, with their share buybacks and so on. You can have it. Give me that $5 million and we'll be on our way. Who wouldn't go for that deal? Why, you'd see that whole country depopulated within days. Trump's so-called gold card. Do you really want to talk about what Europe was doing in Africa? Rape, pillage, mass murder, torture, and slavery. That's what you were doing. That's what you were doing with all of your good brains and all of your good ideas. Stealing everyone's resources to take them back to your allegedly blessed good climate of Europe. And how are you going to talk about what Africa doesn't have when you either destroyed it or you stole it, anything that they did have? And you made yourselves wealthy and comfortable in Europe by doing that. You know, the kingdom of Benin, you destroyed the great city walls, Benin, the royal palace, you looted and you pillaged. And the same in Mali, the same in Zimbabwe, on and on. You destroy everyone else's stuff and then brag about being the only one who has stuff. Do you really want to talk about what Europe was doing in Africa? Rape, pillage, mass murder, torture, and slavery. That's what you were doing. That's what you were doing with all of your good brains and all of your good ideas. Stealing everyone's resources to take them back to your allegedly blessed good climate of Europe. And how are you going to talk about what Africa doesn't have when you either destroyed it or you stole it, anything that they did have? And you made yourselves wealthy and comfortable in Europe by doing that. You know, the kingdom of Benin, you destroyed the great city walls, Benin, the royal palace, you looted and you pillaged. And the same in Mali, the same in Zimbabwe, on and on. You destroy everyone else's stuff and then brag about being the only one who has stuff. Do you really want to talk about what Europe was doing in Africa? Rape, pillage, mass murder, torture, and slavery. That's what you were doing.
You know, usually I'm talking about people who voted for Trump, and I'm never talking to them, but today I'm actually going to address them because they need to be addressed. There is a summary for what's happening, and then there's a takeaway, and the summary is that history is absolutely repeating itself. We've got two historical events simultaneously repeating themselves within one country at the same time. First and foremost, Trump is textbook Hitler. There are literally textbooks about Hitler and what he did to his people and why he was so successful. Scholars have been studying this since it happened, and everything he is doing is exactly what Hitler did. So when I say textbook Hitler, I mean literally, as in words have definitions, and this is by definition exactly what Hitler did. Polarized propaganda, economic strife, demonizing a subset of human beings, techniques of degradation, uniting the uneducated people through hatred. And the other historical event is the Great Depression. Now, this is something that a lot of Americans don't know, but the reason the Great Depression happened is because some political right-wing nutjob took office, implemented a bunch of ridiculous economic policies and procedures, tanked the stock market, a bunch of people killed themselves, and everybody went fucking poor. That's what happened. After that happened, 49 states voted blue in the next election. And we've all just learned to recognize the facts that the American economy thrives under Democratic rule. It is an absolute fact that everybody else in the world can accept, including Democrats in America, with the exception of Republicans. Republicans are the only ones who refuse to acknowledge economic facts, statistics, data, history for that matter. And I have to say this not to be offensive, but it is a reality. Education is the worst in red states. They have literally defunded your Department of Education, and this is so that you guys will remain complacently uneducated and perpetually voting against your own self-interest. This is by design, and the weapons formed against you are absolutely prospering. You just voted in the demolishment of American democracy. You voted against your constitutional rights. You voted in a wannabe Hitler who is a communist and is in Russia's, pocket. Russia's in his pocket. I don't know how you need to put it, but Russia has this man on a leash and the American Great Depression. And you did all of this because you are undereducated and you are letting that man undereducate your children and keep the cycle going. So that is the takeaway. The takeaway is that education is paramount in combating fascism because you guys are so uneducated, you can't even register that you just elected in a fascist regime that is going to deteriorate everything you love about America. That is the takeaway. Education should be your top priority in red states moving forward. Enough with this woke shit. Wake up. You know, usually I'm talking about people who voted for Trump, and I'm never.
Ghana just dropped the mic and said, "We're done with foreign military bases." The US thought they could just keep their troops stationed in Africa, using the continent as a chessboard for their own game. But guess what? Ghana said, not anymore. Ghana decided to close all US military bases. The closure wasn't some spur-of-the-moment decision. It was a well-planned move to assert sovereignty, to tell the West that Ghana is no longer a puppet. You don't get to dictate our future, not anymore. Can Ghana's new president remind the West they are dealing with a strong leader and not a puppet? John Mahama's victory isn't just about Ghana, it's about something much bigger. If you think Africa is just going to sit back and let the West call all the shots, think again. Ghana's shift under Mahama's leadership is like a massive thunderclap signaling the end of an era where Africa plays second fiddle to Western interests. This isn't just about Ghana's foreign policy. It's about Africa rejecting centuries of exploitation and taking its seat at the global table. But what is Mahama doing differently? Let's find out. Mahama didn't just win a presidential election. He won a battle for Ghana's soul. This is about economic independence. Ghana's been sucked dry by foreign interests for far too long. Foreign loans, foreign companies, foreign control. But Mahama, he's had enough. He's got a plan, and it's not to follow Western orders. Let's break it down. Ghana has been one of the most economically dependent nations in Africa, relying on the West for foreign aid, loans, and development assistance. But that system has done nothing but keep Ghana in a cycle of debt and dependence. Mahama is flipping the script. He's talking about real self-sufficiency. It's not just about keeping the lights on or propping up a broken system. It's about creating a sustainable economy, driven by Ghanaians for Ghanaians. This is about building a country that doesn't rely on foreign handouts, but stands on its own 2 feet. Ghana can't thrive if it's constantly looking to the West for solutions. And Mahama knows this. He's got a vision for homegrown solutions, empowering local industries, cutting out the middleman, and putting Ghanaian businesses in the driver's seat. He's aiming to boost agriculture, improve infrastructure, and invest in education and technology. But here's the kicker. He's not doing it for Ghana alone. Mahama's leadership is a blueprint for other African nations to follow. It's time to stop begging the West for help and start making things happen at home. But how does Mahama intend to do this without falling into the same trap of relying on Western investment? How does Ghana forge ahead without foreign influence? The answer is simple: unity. It's not just about one country. It's about building an empire, and Ghana is leading the charge. Ghana isn't in this fight alone. For decades, the nation has been fighting alongside other African countries that share the same vision. A united Africa, free from foreign dominance. Mahama's vision is clear. Africa has to stop depending on the West for everything. From Mali to Burkina Faso, countries are finding common ground in resisting neo-imperialism. And guess who's leading the charge? You guessed it, Ghana. The power of this collaboration cannot be overstated. The African Union AU and ECOWAS have always played vital roles in maintaining regional peace and promoting economic cooperation. Ghana has always been a strategic player in West Africa, but Mahama is taking it to the next level. His leadership is about more than just
If they want to try to annihilate Ontario, I will do everything, including cut off their energy, with a smile on my face. And I'm encouraging every other province to do the same. Quebec, Manitoba, BC, we all have to act in unison. Out east, they rely on our energy. They need to feel the pain. They want to come at us hard, we're going to come back twice as hard. If they want to try to annihilate Ontario, I will do everything, including cut off their energy, with a smile on my face. And I'm encouraging every other province to do the same. Quebec, Manitoba.
Hey folks, the Pentagon's purge of honest history is set for March 5th, just a couple of days away. And so by then, military websites and social media will be scrubbed of anything that doesn't fit their preferred narrative. Hey, I'm Tad Sturmer. I teach public history at Johns Hopkins, and I'm a veteran of the United States Army, and this is the kind of stuff that pisses me off, but we can do something about it. But first, as a resistance history principle, our intelligence has to be early, it has to be accurate, and we have to be clear about our understanding about what it means and what we can do about it, because our intelligence has to inform our actions. We're getting the intelligence, now we're talking about action. But let's be clear about what's happening based upon internal documents such as these and this one that we've received. It's not about just deleting a few posts. It's about a comprehensive rewriting of the past into this fan fiction, this white male fantasy to control the present. And they're doing it by erasing race, gender, equal opportunity. Even the words history and historic are suspect to them and worthy of being challenged. Because what use is history to people who want to force you to believe in fictions that they can then base their authority on? So here's what we know from these documents that is being specifically erased. Race and ethnicity. No more stories about Black, Indigenous, or other racial groups unless they reinforce the white cisgender male master narrative. Gender. 17.5% of today's military are women. 1 in 5 officers in the U.S. Navy is a woman. More than 2 million women have served since World War II. But under this directive, their history disappears and trans people disappear. Equal opportunity policies. Now let's take a look at this. If they remove the language from the websites, they remove the policies. And that's the game. But you see how subtle that can be? This is right out of the DOJ playbook. Remove references to the policy. You eliminate the policy. You change policy. No Congress, no committee, no real authority needed, just a kid with a keyboard. People First initiatives. These are some Army-specific programs that were designed to help service members and their families stay in the military and, in fact, make the military more effective at achieving its missions. Eliminated. Hegseth has openly said anything non-lethal should be cut to fund warfighters. Observance months. Black history, women's history, Asian Pacific heritage, pride, Native American heritage, gone. We knew this was coming. But specifically, historical firsts, anything related to a historical first that is not white, male, cisgender, because those are the only firsts that matter. The Tuskegee Airmen, Sally Ride, they specifically target the first female astronaut. Erase it. That is how petty they are being and going after everybody. So any firsts have to be erased that don't fit the narrative that don't fit their fairy tale of white cisgender men at the center of American history. And then their targets are words like equality, respect, and tolerance among 59 terms that have to be explored for potential threats to their master narrative, including history and historic. So this is only nominally about DEI, right? I mean, this is really about creating an exclusive nationalist story about who gets to be seen, who gets to be remembered, and therefore who gets to shape the future. This is about whose America is it anyway? Because if non-white cisgender males didn't make our history, they have no place in the present, and they certainly have no place in shaping its future, certainly not in positions of authority. And here's something that you need to know. Every resistance efforts to protect and project that history is coming from you and only you, the people, the citizen public historians. Not a single military history or heritage organization has made a statement, has lifted a finger, much less committed to preserving this content. Not a boo. Not the American Battlefield Trust, not any of them. Not any of the major military heritage institutions, and not any of the minor ones either. And if they remain silent now, I fully expect them to fall in line with this directive in the coming weeks. So expect that to be gone from them too. They're going to collaborate. They're going to appease. They are not on your side. But here's the thing. We can use these as action plans too. Follow their instructions. Take the same steps they are taking. Go to those sites. But your job is to save, not destroy, to rescue, not abandon. That's not what we're about. Download what you can, archive it, catalog it, keep it alive. Share what's being erased so it's harder to disappear. Ask military history and heritage organizations where they stand. Hold them accountable. Ask them if they're in line with us. Ask them what they're going to do to preserve that history and heritage. Ask them what they're going to do to preserve the memory of people like Sally Ride and the Tuskegee Airmen and the other firsts and lasts, frankly. If they claim to preserve history, make them prove it. Make them commit to it. This is the challenge we face, but we face it together, and we will meet this moment. Hey, folks, the Pentagon's purge of honest...
Okay, guys. I shared some videos that I thought that were great. Good information. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is the part... This is a part of how we're going to be rolling from now on. We're going to be talking about grown folks stuff, okay? We're going to be talking about what's going on in our society right now. I will be sharing wonderful information. I'll be looking for those who are interested in what's going on in this world right now. Like I say, I've been listening to Roland Martin. I've been doing a lot of listening to Don and some other people too. And everything about what we know. If you live here in the West, everything about your life is changing. Period. Whether or not you want to take an active role in it, or you want to act like you don't see it, you're ignoring it, or you just feel like you're just standing in faith and you're gonna let everybody else fix it while you just sit on the sidelines. I don't know where your thinking is or how you're thinking, but this is what I'm going to be reporting on. Now, at the same time, I'm gonna be eating out and eating good food and talking and loving on the people that I talk and love on at the same time. But that's not what the channel will be about from here on out. It's going to, my whole goal is to talk about what's going on in the world and to do my part. That's my whole thing. Like I said, everything about our world is changing. Just on a super serious note, I do have a couple of issues I want to speak on tonight in this live. Okay, I guess I got some questions when it comes to the conscious community. So when it comes to the conscious community, I think of what the first person came to my mind is Dr. Umar, because I've seen him some on Facebook. Now, I don't follow any conscious teacher. Let me say that again. Me personally, I don't follow any conscious teacher, right? But I've listened to some of their messaging, and I know what some of the things that I've heard them say. I guess when it comes to the conscious community, I learned for the first time that American history as it was taught in school is a lie. The conscious community kind of pretty much just let me know, our Black history. That's where I learned a lot of, not when it comes to Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks. Not that those are bad people, not when it comes to stuff like that. I'm talking about going back further than that. We're talking about the Africans and the colonizers and stuff like that, and Black people who invented things and who we were before the colonizers. I learned that through the conscious community, right? I've been telling people in my life, I've been having some conversations with clients, and we've been talking about how I've been telling them how Now I feel like I haven't heard much from the conscious community as it relates to what's going on in Washington. I haven't heard much. I have a friend of mine who's from the conscious community. My son, Omni, is from the conscious community. I called him and had a conversation with him and couldn't get what I needed from that conversation. I called a friend of mine and tried to talk to him, and he kind of shut me down, and he says, no, I'm not going to have that conversation. So I've been looking for the conscious community to see how they feel and what they're talking about, because what I'm realizing when it comes to the white nationalists and the white evangelicals and just the white folks, they've been listening to the conscious community. They've been paying attention to what they've been saying for the last 12 years. They're noticing that the conscious community, like Billy Carson is talking about the Anunnaki. They've paid attention to us talking about who we were before their influence. They've been paying attention to us talking about black people originally kings and queens, and actually when Christopher Columbus got here to the United States, he there saw the blacks and the Indians. See, the white people have been listening to the conscious community, educating blacks and some whites and others about our real history. So Dr. Umar Johnson was talking today. He used words like coon and stuff like that. And so my thing is, where is the conscious community? Because now the wheel is really turning. Like our life right now, because the white people, the white nationalists, and you know who I'm talking about, they've waged a war. Some people say they've waged war on the poor, but I feel like their ultimate goal, this is my personal opinion, y'all. This is not anything that I've heard anybody else say. And if you know of somebody who said this too, then let me know. But in my personal opinion, their end game is to come and get the black man. In getting the black man, they would automatically get the black woman and the black children. The conscious community has rubbed, along with Obama being the president, has rubbed these evangelicals, these white nationalists, the wrong way. Okay? Now, for all this preaching that the conscious community, the black men and the historians, because Dr. Umar is an historian. He deals with black education. All of the talking that they have been doing, and Umar is not the only one, but he's just the only one that I can name right now. All of the lecturing and the teaching and the podcasts and the sharing of information and the traveling and, the black knowledge. And it's made us feel some type of way. I talked to my auntie today. She's about 66, 67. People in her age group, it's making us feel some type of way, and it's making us feel good. It's making us feel a whole lot better than learning that Christopher Columbus discovered America, and the slaves were brought to America, and the slaves were in the South, and the slaves went through, and then the slaves revolted against the whites. It's not that history. They give us another feeling, okay? But I just want to say this. While they've been doing this for the last 12 years, the white people have been listening, and they are livid. They want blood. They want blood. And I want the conscious community to respond. Hold on for 1 minute. Let me get into the comment. I see a couple comments that I want to read. For real, I think that Black Americans were already in America before Columbus. I think so too. I do like Dr. Umar. I've been watching him for about 6 months now. Oh, just only 6 months? Okay. So there is, I just want to state to you guys tonight, I just want to let y'all know that y'all know I think a lot. And, you know, this is the deep lane, okay? And like I said, some people don't fit here in on this platform, but the white people have been listening to all of the conversations that the conscious community have been having online for the last 12 years. I just want y'all to know that. And yeah, I feel some type of way about it because I just feel like the conscious community, and I wish I could find one that I could talk to online, or have they just gone in hiding? Do y'all think that they're not going to speak right now? Because I've been asking questions of just, you know, just regular blacks, and they're saying, Cheryl, no, we're not going to say anything right now. We don't want to be baited in the streets. Hold on, let me read your comment. It's a shame that I did not know about Christopher Columbus until 20 years ago, because they taught it another way in school. Lies. There have been lies on top of lies on top of lies and more lies. There was a conscious effort to gaslight back in those days and lie to us and hide our history from us. And this is what they're doing now. It's the same exact thing. It's the same exact thing. The buildings are the truth. They can't build like that today. But say people in the old days could do it with horse and carts and they're getting ready to lie again. They already have the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 generations in mind. They've already said they're going to take this and this and this and that out of the history books. But I just want to let y'all know this. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. Do you understand? It's a fantasy, guys. It is a fantasy. You guys say, Cheryl, what fantasy? It's the shared white fantasy. If you know anything about narcissism, not narcissism. Don't want to say that because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about narcissism. I'm talking about narcissist. People with NPD. If you know anything about them, they have something called a shared fantasy. Okay? That means that they live outside of reality. And they are very delusional. And so now we have this group of Caucasian people who are sharing in this fantasy of white people having power, control, and domination over blacks. It's never going to happen again. It's never going to work. There's going to be a whole lot of red rum. I just want to, for the record, from my channel, my name is Cheryl Grabowski. And if you come across this live, I just want you to know that I am an African-American woman. I am 54 years old, and I know of an assurity that we will never be white people's slaves again. The shared fantasy of the white people, the white evangelicals, and the hillbillies and the rednecks. This is mental illness, strong delusion. It's not going to work. They're going to eventually, this is just how I see it. They're going to eventually get what they're looking for. But it's a fantasy. It's not real. You'll never be able to go out in your backyard and pick and choose who you're going to sleep with, the women and the children. It's never going to happen again. You'll never be able to tie the black man down by his arms and legs and do all kind of things to his bottom. It's never going to happen again. It's never going to happen. That is a fantasy. It's not real. You're going to end up getting read wrong. That's exactly what's going to happen. It's never going to happen again. It's never going to happen. But it is a fantasy, though. And it's big. It's a big fantasy. But that's all it is. So I was saying earlier on the live that I was on, I wanted to share with y'all. There's this woman. I'm not going to let y'all know who she is right now, but that I found on YouTube. And I love her so. I love her commentary. It's so good. It's so good. Her content is so good. But this is what she said. She said that by September, August, October, that all of this stuff will be reversed. All of the executive orders, all of it's going to be reversed. And people are going to end up in handcuffs. It's not going to work. And she's not like me. She's a Caucasian woman. It's not going to work. You know, it's just something about narcissists. This stuff that they're doing, it resonates with them, even if the narcissist is of another nationality. They all stick together, but it's not going to work. You're not going to enslave anybody. You're not going to rule and dominate and have control, just like you breathed the breath of life into people. You did not. Donald Trump is not a king or a god. He's an empty soul. Vance is the son of a hillbilly who went to school and got some education. But there's a lot of poverty and trauma, I would imagine, in the life of a hillbilly. This is trauma. This is mental illness. This is crazy. They're not going to have their way. Nobody's going to be their slave anymore. You won't be able to pick and choose who you're going to sleep with any day of the week and great people. And you're not going to be able to do that. You might as well stop with the shared fantasy of locking all the black people up, black and brown people up, and putting them in farms, on farmland, in certain type of houses, and having everybody like begging for food it's not going to happen. I think that's why a large percentage of people are very quiet. They're not saying anything because they know that this is just crazy. But I tell you what I do know, and this is a fact. The narcissist always overplays their hand. And while we watch these people not listen to anybody, not even judges, not even the Supreme Court, they are lawless. They will not listen to anything that a lawyer says, a DA says, the justices, the Supreme. They won't listen to anything. They're overplaying their hand. They're doing enough, and they're doing it so frequently that the people that are right there beside them are already having a conversation. They're already having conversations against them. The people that are right there close to them, they're doing it with smiles on their faces. They're just making sure that they're dotting all their I's and crossing all of their T's, while the narcissist gloats. While the grandiosity and the mental illness has him thinking that he's gotten away with everything that he could ever think or imagine. Meanwhile, the people that are right there underneath him are planning right behind his back. And when they've dotted all of their I's, crossed all of their T's, got all the lawyers and judges and everything that they need to sign the paperwork and do what they do, when they call for the officers and the military to come and apprehend these people physically. And then it'll be just like the day when we watched Saddam Hussein show up in court with his hair straight on top of his head, with dirt underneath his fingernails, because these people have imagined in their hearts that they are larger than life and that they get enjoyment out of hurting people. That these people imagine such evil imagination of making people poorer, having people to suffer, stealing the money, taking the money and doing what you want to do with it just because you feel like that you could pull it off, that you could pull off the biggest heist of the world when you rob America, rob them blind, right in their faces. It's something to be said about the Democrats, y'all. I just feel some type of way about them. You know, I don't really know all of what to say about that. I really don't. One guy said on my TikTok, Cheryl Grabowski, they're in this thing together. The Democrats and the Republicans. Serious content tonight, yes. It really is, because it's a serious time. This is 2025, and we have criminals in the White House. We have, what do you call those people? We have mobsters in the White House, and hillbillies, mental ill hillbillies in the White House. In the White House. It gets no more serious than that. We have mentally ill lunatics putting thought to paper and doing anything that they feel big and bad enough to do. Meanwhile, confusing most of the people that are around them and really got them damn near paralyzed in fear. In real life, this is not a movie. I've been waiting to come to talk to y'all all day, and I want to tell y'all, just in case nobody told you yet, this is not a movie. We're not sitting in a cinema with the beautiful, chairs and controlled lighting and fantastic surround sound and a magnificent screen. This is not a movie. We're not dreaming. This is real life. We have people in the White House that's telling our business to our enemy. We have people in the White House that are taking valuable information like birth certificate information, social security numbers, and bank information, and all of that, and possibly even planning to sell it to other people. This is not a movie. This is real life. I need people to stop acting like they're at a movie theater. I think movies have made us so numb. Movies are so... People talk about the influence of hip hop. What about the influence of movies? Whether you're listening to trash or you're looking at trash, it tampers with your subconscious. This is not a movie. This is real life. We are numb because we watch movies. What's going on in White House is similar to a movie, but this is not a movie though. This is not a movie theater that holds about 3,000 people. We're talking about a whole country, millions of people. I don't even know how many millions we have in the United States. I think 332 million people in the United States, I think. A movie theater can't hold that many people. This is not a movie. This is not a movie. This is not a movie. And I'm absolutely correct when I say that this is not a movie. Our president thinks that the Kremlin is his friend. You know, narcissists can be manipulated. I'm the narc slayer, narc teacher. Did y'all know that? As much as we talk about how awful and how of a liar and manipulative and gaslighting that the narcissist is, do you not know that the narcissist is easy to be manipulated because at the end of the day, they are children inwardly. Our president is being manipulated by the Kremlin. And maybe by somebody else too. I heard somebody say that there's a man in the pictures, not the Kremlin. And of course he's white. And he is pulling all the strings, whoever he is. Our president is being manipulated. This is not a movie, guys. And I'm not going to treat it like it's a movie because I know better. It's not. Hopefully, prayerfully, in August, September, we'll be able to breathe like we were breathing before. But in the meanwhile, it's a good thing that we learned this lesson of this is not a movie. It's real life. Good night, guys.